At my son's award ceremony, my stepfather announced his grandkids earned the scholarship. Everyone nodded until I stood up. He tore the check in half on stage. You've always wanted what isn't yours. What I showed the committee cost him his reputation. The microphone squealed as Gerald ripped the oversized check down the middle, confetti from the earlier celebration still falling around him. My son Nathan sat frozen in the third row, his acceptance letter crumpled in his fist. The scholarship was worth $45,000 toward his engineering degree. Gerald stood at the podium wearing a suit I'd never seen before, his arm around his biological grandchildren, twins named Brittany and Kyle, who hadn't even applied. The committee members exchanged confused glances. My mother sat beside me with her hands folded, refusing to meet my eyes. I pushed myself out of my seat so fast, a chair scraped against the gymnasium floor. Gerald had married my mother when I was 19, already out of the house and building my own life. He brought wealth, connections, and a constant need to remind everyone that his real family came first. My son Nathan wasn't his blood, which meant Nathan didn't exist in Gerald's world. When Nathan got accepted to the state engineering program, Gerald told my mother it was probably affirmative action. When Nathan made the dean's list, Gerald said the standards must have dropped. When the Whitmore Foundation scholarship notification arrived at my mother's house by mistake, Gerald intercepted it. I only found out because Nathan's guidance counselor called to congratulate him 3 days later. I walked toward the stage with my phone already recording. Gerald's smile flickered when he saw me approaching. He leaned into the microphone and announced that I wasn't part of the program. I kept walking. He told the audience I had a history of wanting things that didn't belong to me, that I'd been jealous of his grandchildren's success for years. The committee chair, a woman named Dr. Pauline Ashworth, stood up from her seat at the judge's table. She asked what was happening. Gerald pointed at me and said I was disrupting the ceremony to steal recognition from his family. I reached the base of the stage and held up my phone. I told Dr. Ashworth that I had something she needed to see. Gerald stepped between me and the committee. He grabbed my wrist and squeezed hard enough to leave marks. He whispered that if I didn't leave right now, he would make sure my mother cut me out of everything. I pulled my arm free and climbed the 3 steps onto the stage. Gerald followed, his face turning purple. He announced to the crowd that I was mentally unstable, that I'd been institutionalized as a teenager, that nothing I said could be trusted. My mother gasped from her seat. The twins backed away from both of us. Dr. Ashworth demanded to know what evidence I had. I opened my email app and found the confirmation letter the foundation had sent directly to Nathan 8 days ago. The letter clearly stated that Nathan James Whitfield had been selected as the sole recipient of the 2024 Whitmore Engineering Scholarship based on his academic achievements and community service record. It included the committee's official letterhead, Dr. Ashworth's digital signature, and a timestamp from before Gerald ever claimed his grandchildren had won. I turned my phone toward the audience and read the letter out loud. Gerald lunged for my phone. I stepped back and he stumbled, catching himself on the podium. Dr. Ashworth took my phone and examined the email herself. Her expression shifted from confusion to fury. She asked Gerald to explain why he had announced different recipients than the committee had selected. Gerald's composure cracked. He stammered that there must have been a mistake, that he'd received documentation showing his grandchildren had won. Dr. Ashworth asked to see that documentation. Gerald patted his jacket pockets and said he must have left it at home. She asked him point blank if he had forged anything or misrepresented the foundation's decision. Gerald pointed at me and shouted that I had hacked the email, that I had fabricated the whole thing to humiliate his family. His grandchildren were crying now. My mother had her face buried in her hands. The audience sat in stunned silence. Dr. Ashworth pulled out her own tablet and logged into the foundation's secure portal. She scrolled through the records while Gerald stood frozen. She found the original selection documents with Nathan's name clearly listed. She found the notification email sent to both Nathan and my mother's address. She found Gerald's name on a fraudulent amendment submitted 3 days ago, attempting to change the recipient. Gerald had used his position on the local business council to access the foundation's administrative system. He'd altered the records himself. Dr. Ashworth announced this to the entire gymnasium. Gerald tried to speak. She cut him off and told him he was no longer welcome at any foundation event. She told him she would be forwarding everything to the state attorney general's office for investigation. Gerald grabbed the torn check pieces and threw them at me before storming off the stage. Nathan received his full scholarship the following week, along with a formal apology from the foundation. Gerald was removed from 3 community boards and lost his seat on the business council. The state investigation found he'd redirected charitable funds twice before.